You're watching a Zero Dark Network production. All right, welcome to another edition, episode 12 of Zero Dark Network Friday Live. So today is March 15th. My name is Andy Valadez, and I do this live every Friday at 03 a.m. So if you're catching it on YouTube or other channels, thank you for watching. I'll try to limit this to about an hour. Have a lot to go over today. Hopefully you've had a great weekend. A great week, and looking forward to a great weekend. And I like to do this Friday live because it's an accumulation of the week that you've been working on and things to think about as you head into the weekend in preparation for next week. And so it's kind of my journey, an audience of one, although, hopefully it won't be me. We don't know if we're going to have guests or not, but you're welcome to Zoom in live. If you go to our website, Zero Dark Network, and go to Friday Live, then you'll get the link for the Zoom and you can schedule it. We do ask that you subscribe to this channel if it's helping you in any way. So it's just my take. I've been in practice in marketing for 20 years, and I'm a dad and husband, and my wife and I have been together. We'll be celebrating 44 years in April, and time has flown, and it's been an incredible journey. And so at this season of my life, I just decided, you know what, I'm investing in people, investing in my network, bringing people closer to seeing what I do as I look at scaling and investing, marketing and influence and narratives that I believe and support. And so this just gives me an opportunity to think about, what I want to say, and hopefully what I'm seeing is, folks are taking some of the things that I'm sharing to heart and implementing them in their lives, and seeing the results that they're posting on their social media and as we interact going forward. But as always, we start with an opening prayer. Again, I have a lot to go over. I make a lot of notes, and a lot of times I don't get to go over everything. But it gives me at least a guide, and then pick up where we left off last time. So I'll go ahead and open in prayer. Father, Lord, just thank you for this opportunity again, this early morning, Mark 1:35, to get up early and just seek you in the quiet of the morning when most people are asleep and we're up early, or we're catching this in a delayed format. And just pray that whoever's listening, it's the right person at the right time, wherever they be in the world. And this is a live stream, and so I've shared it on social media. So I pray that anyone that's watching right now would tune in, and maybe we change the agenda. So I have my agenda, then there's your agenda. So we pray health, we pray wealth, we pray love and happiness, Lord, over those that are taking their lives seriously and deciding, hey, I want to make changes. So as is the spirit of the Zero Dark Network. So thank you so much. Amen. So again, a recap, started Zero Dark Network about 9 months ago. I would say, 6 months, 9 months ago. Time flies. And it's been an incredible journey as we started to map out this idea of Zero Dark Network. And so anyway, tune in, continue to tune in. Today is, again, it's the Friday live version of it. We do have our Saturday Change meeting that we do regularly here in Houston, Cy-Fair area. If you're in the area right now, this is kind of the prototype, but we're meeting at a Denny's in Cy-Fair at 03, and thankfully they remodeled the place. We started off, it was kind of like a dump in a way. Then they started to remodel the room that we're meeting in, and then they're remodeling the whole restaurant. So I take that as a sign that we were in the right place at the right time, and God has beautified the place, making it better for us. We've got a nice TV to hook up to so that we can share training resources, and at some point we may go live with that. Saturday we did test it just to see how it would work, but right now we want to build up our in-person audience first, and we're limited to about 25 people, as the back room will host about 25. 5. And of course, they have a wait staff that's there early in the morning. Typically, it's not as busy for them, but if we are going to make it busier, then it's going to be busy for them at that time for us, right? So, I think in my last episode, I had mentioned the Zig Ziglar planner. And this is something that, let me go ahead and stop share screen to share with you better. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. I haven't ever really used a planner other than Outlook, and I would schedule my day and my task and review it. But I wanted to do kind of a hybrid, electronic and written. And so this comes highly recommended with one of the trainers I'm working with, Howard Partridge. And so I went through the process of setting my goals, which if you go in past episodes, there's a format, a 7-step format for setting your goals. And it makes it easier to identify your goal, the real goal, not, a superficial goal. And it doesn't have to be complex, right? So you really, want to establish maybe 7 key goals. I like that number 7. And that way it becomes manageable. And then for the year, 4 key projects that you want to work on. Everything else kind of becomes ancillary. So the top four are top of mind. But with the planner, which I now carry with me, it gives you kind of a dashboard on how to schedule your week. So at the beginning of the week, what I've done here is I've identified the key things that I want to work on throughout the week, keep top of mind throughout the year even. The things that I'm invested in, things that I'm making time for, things that I've made commitments for, some of it volunteer, some of it client work, some of it family. So I made a quick list just to give you a quick guide. Like one of my goals is to finish my book here pretty quickly. It's 90% done, but I want to make it top of mind, like consistently every day. I got to get at least a chapter done, or I've got to get, a review to proof it a little bit better as I go through it. Cause it is a book. So you've got to go back and review chapters to see if there's any changes, any updates that you might want to make. And I've mentioned in previous podcasts that 87% of people have a book in them that they would like to write, but only 3% actually do it. But it's kind of a sign of life. We get busy and then, we don't accomplish and finish the task. And so we wind up having things that are kind of halfway done, if you will, because in America, we've been taught that, multitasking is a thing. In reality, it's not. So we really have to train ourselves daily to focus, right? 15 minutes on something that, then after a while, 15 minutes adds up and you get the project complete. So it's a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. And this whole, platform is to just share, what, let me continue to remind myself, as Howard Partridge says, he's a chief reminding officer. Let me continue to remind myself to do those daily disciplines to stay in tune. So one of them, again, is this planner that I'm using, but I have my Veterans Business Force. This is a project I'm involved in. Top of mind, we just had our meeting yesterday, and Kathy Bowerstocks is a leader of that. And so it's a group designed to bring veteran businesses together so that we can collaborate, share contacts, resources, visions, mastermind, and continuing to grow and thrive. Also have a million veteran millionaires. So that's something that I do pretty regularly once a month. We have a guest feature. We just had Manfred Sternberg, a business lawyer. So I'm in the process of outputting that recording. So you go to millionaires.com to kind of check up on that. And again, this is my reminder for the day. So you're going with me as I go through it. Then I've got Caroline Kane. She's one of my clients. She is a U.S. congressional candidate in CD7. And I'll go into a little bit of a success story with her because we also want to share our wins for the week. So that's a discipline that I'm incorporating with my group. What are some of the wins that you had? Because we have these wins, but we forget about them, right? So it's always good to go back and reflect and rejoice and see that you are making progress, and not take that progress lightly, to relive it, to share it, and to inspire and aspire yourself in the process. Then I've got Second Chance. One of my clients has written a book called For a Second Chance, Turn the Page. And I think I mentioned that in the previous episode, and I just want to kind of give you an update there. We're planning for a book launch April 20th from 2 to 4 at the Merrill Center. And so we'll be promoting that, and I'll be talking about it in the next episode. Then we got HMAC. So we had our Houston Military Affairs Committee luncheon yesterday here in Houston at the Marriott West Chase. And so it's a great group of leaders within the military community, and they're planning for their ball in May. And so I'll be helping them with their promotions and marketing. We're going to be creating a radio commercial. It's going to run on KSCV radio and also do their media alerts and press alerts. And as they get ready to publish their event program, we'll be able to speak into some of that, maybe and improve and bring in sponsors and table purchases and make the ball, a more dynamic experience, if you will. And right now we're tabulating the annual nature of the ball because it's been around for a while, since like the 70s. And so we want to put a number on that. Is this the 35th annual, 6th annual ball? Then we start to create that foundation, if you will, for legacy in the number. So when people see, oh, wow, this has been around for a while, then you have a dynamic branding effect by having a number on it. Then we're looking at the American Legion. So I do a lot of work with the American Legion, serve as a second division PR officer. So I need to reconnect with the district officers to really mobilize our PR apparatus with the different posts that we have, 96 posts in our division. And so keeping the communication lines open. And then some of this stuff dovetails. So in essence, the Veterans Business Force, HMAC, the Marine Corps League, VFW even, we're doing some cross promotions and building a community of shared resources, similar to the Zero Dark Network, right? So you have co-branding, you have co-promotion, you have alignment, you have strategic relationships, strategic partners. And so a lot of this has to be managed. If you just kind of let it flow, then it kind of, you want to be able to continue to create and nurture these communities. Then we got the Zero Dark Network. And then one of the things I'm working on for my business is systems, right? So having systems in place, being more intentional about setting up systems. And, for example, if I get a client, what's the system for onboarding them? How do I help them to articulate to me their vision, their frame of mind, their commitment to their vision, their dream? And so setting up that system so that it's consistently, right? Every time I bring on a new client, there's a consistent onboarding process. And at some point, I have my assistant, go through that process with them. So that becomes an automated system that I don't necessarily have to be redoing all the time, right? And then it looks different to the customer, in different ways. So by having a thought process behind even, making a phone call, for a new contact, that being a system. So it takes time to do those things, but it doesn't take a lot of time. Simple, not easy. 15 minutes, focus on what that system's going to be. And you may have systems that you already do. So I love it if you would share some of those things, because again, as that information's coming in, I'm putting it into my system, things to do and things to observe and things to share, right? And then, of course, I've got trainings that I continue to do. As I've made a commitment to read more books, do more trainings. And it's interesting how some of these trainings, I mentioned in previous episodes that the Bible says that wisdom is like a bubbling brook. And I never really used to understand what that meant. I was like, okay, bubbling brook, I can envision a clear stream and fresh water and life force that's in that water and just the serenity and the purity of that visual image. And to me, that's kind of the same thing with the readings and the trainings and the relationships and conversations and just the musings of the day as you observe. Success leaves cues you've heard. And so you may pick up something that you would have missed had you not really been open to being kind of an open hand, right? Or an open cup in an ocean of water, right? The cup can hold the ocean if you put the cup in the ocean, right? So you actually, in theory, have the whole ocean in your cup. So kind of using some of these narratives. Hopefully it's making sense to you, but that's kind of what this new mindset, this new openness to what is God saying in our time when it comes to busyness or entrepreneurship or business, life, health, wealth, love, and happiness. One of those key areas that we can be intentional on, focused on, and add more value and more trajectory, more focus, more, force, if you will, with our life force, right? Today is the exciting day of Friday, again, Friday Live in the same spirit. We're looking forward to Saturday, Sunday. I've got a great day planned today and I'm excited about it, but it's been intentional from the day before. right? So all these things come into play. In fact, I was taking Billie Jean's training. It's a 10-day AI course. And of course, they say 10 days, but it's archived. And so I'm probably at day 6 right now. But I can say that each day and the way he structured the training, it's about 2 or 3 hours of videos and maybe some tasks. But again, systems adding value. One idea that he gave me that actually got me a client was, you meet people and people fall off the radar. We're trying to be diligent in our things, but people forget their emails, don't answer their calls. I mean, those things happen, right? So I wound up sending an email to a potential client. I hadn't talked to her in a couple of weeks, and I was like, okay, is she going to do this thing or not do this thing? Because I'm busy, she's busy. And so one of the strategies, he said, well, send an email in your subject line and say it's me. He said there's so much psychological impact in that statement in the subject line. And maybe you test this for yourself to see if it's right or not. So I did that. I said, hey, just touching base, seeing how you're doing, and didn't know if you were ready to go forward with your this stuff that we talked about. And all of a sudden I get a reply. And not only that, I had given a 30-day guarantee, like if you don't like my work, you don't pay me kind of a thing. Took the stress off of that. And it's a big ticket price, for what I was offering to do on the marketing side. And like, she completely like, no, I got a check for you. I'm ready to roll. Let's go do this. I've been busy with my company because she's also got another company that she's working on. And as a business person, she's the type of client that I want to be. I mean, really like, hey, let me just save myself time and let me go ahead and pay you, and you get to work, and then we'll meet up and catch up. So that's kind of my ideal client. I'm looking for business people that are busy, and they don't want to, they want to do the marketing, and they are involved because I want to make them involved in the strategic decisions. But also at some point we have a workflow. I can almost like read the customer's mind and anticipate the need before she or he has to articulate it. And we've already got that piece done, and we're moving on to the next thing. So I have my congressional client, a U.S. Congressional candidate, Caroline Kane, is the same way. She's a business lady. At one point, she had over 50 employees in her business for multifamily dwellings. And so she recognizes talent. And, so as I've nurtured the relationship now, she's like, no, go ahead and do it. Boom, so there's not any delays in the process, right? So again, your business is different, your life is different. And so all I'm sharing with you is some simple disciplines that I'm doing now with this planner. Again, I'm not the expert on this planner, but you can see I'm starting to use it. There's more details every day. I've got today actually filled out. So today is not as filled as yesterday was, because yesterday I had back-to-back meetings. I was up at 2:30. I had a meeting at 6:30, one at 8, and I had a lunch at 11:30. Then I had a 3 p.m. Meeting. Of course, I get up at 2:30 in the morning, and I was zapped. So I went to bed like at 5 yesterday. My wife and I came home 5:30. But I'm totally recharged, 9 hours of sleep, because people want to know, like, man, when do you sleep? I said, well, listen to my body, and this schedule may or not be for you, but, or doing it intermittently. And so I've been doing this now for 9 months. And so now it's kind of become a routine, and, it's a daily habit, or however you want to call it. But I look forward to getting up, early and getting the day started, and sharing, what I'm seeing by just changing my habits, right? And that's going to make all the difference, because as I was going this way, now I'm heading that way, and the daily accumulation of that activity has been very rewarding. This is one of my designs for Veterans Business Force. And so as I, again, immerse myself in my brands, keep them top of mind on mission, which right there, that's becoming more known now, thankfully. In fact, I was taking a training with Howard Partridge, and in the training, the Zoom call this week, he had mentioned being on mission, right? So there's no distraction. Whatever you're on, the mission is your life mission, but it's everything you do is tied to that life mission. So you're still on the same mission, but that's really kind of an assignment, right? So that assignment is still part of the mission, right? Especially if you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing for your season of life. So today, as I prepared to talk and explore things that, the changes that I've made, and things that seem to be resonating with those that are following me on social media. And I made this public that my wife and I, about 2 years and a month now, we're going on, we decided to stop drinking alcohol, And so I've always had alcohol in my life, and maybe it was a problem, but never had a DUI or never had like an addiction where I had to have alcohol to like survive the day, but it was more recreational, social. So it's always been there in the backdrop, looking forward to the weekend. When I was in the military, when we were dating, the laws were lax. So I think I was buying alcohol when I was 16 and grew up. My dad drank beer, and I wanted to at least be manly, because back then that's what, to me, was a symbolism of manhood. And he gave me my first beer, and I didn't like it. In fact, I poured it out, and I crushed the can like he did. And my dad enjoyed his beer when he worked hard. He was a hard worker, and we go hunting, and it'd get hot out there. And so I just had it in my life, right? And when the laws changed, I think I was able to buy it when I was 16, and no one would card, and then when I was 18, and so I just always had it. And so we just decided, evaluate the cost, the downtime. Of course, again, trying to get clarity for where we want to go with our life. And so we just made a decision together just to cut the alcohol. Some people do struggle. They do have an addiction, and it is taking and consuming their life, right? And especially with what we've gone through with COVID here recently, and then the state of the country, a lot of people are depressed, and they exacerbate it by, again, being distracted on being intentional. And I'm not necessarily trying to say that you have to be a teetotaler. I'm not a teetotaler, but if you drink around me, I don't really even think about it. It doesn't even affect me, and don't have a desire for it. In fact, even now, my wife and I say, well, man, I sure am glad we don't have a hangover, because we did have hangovers here and there. And it was, again, a distraction. But I started adding up the costs. And, we're between us, we're probably saving about $600 to $700 a month. Wine, even recreational, a glass or two at night. Those wines that she liked and I like were not cheap. $10 a bottle, $15 a bottle. Same thing for I used to like scotches and bourbons and my tequilas. The expensive stuff. Not maybe not super expensive, but expensive for me. A $65 bottle of scotch, let's say, or a $40 bottle of bourbon. Having a shot here and there, taking some downtime, distress. We justify, like, hey, let me have some me time, or let me just sit down and relax, but that does have an effect on your mind. It has an effect on your body. And so I can just say, after 2 years and a month now, as I've shared, there's people that have been sober now for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, maybe who have been a part of AA, and they, are being consistent, to understanding that they do have a weakness. Like there is no, like, when they have one drink, they're going to drink until they, pass out, right? So I haven't had that problem, but I did have, you may have too good of a night, drink 3 or 4 drinks or more, and then you gotta suffer the next day, right? The old proverbial hangover. So I can say, if you are struggling with alcohol, or you're interested in saying, what, I do drink a little bit, and I'm really, it's a distraction, right? Same thing with, like I mentioned, I cut cable 18 years ago. For me, cable became a distraction. I just decided that it was paid programming. I wasn't going to pay to be programmed. As a marketing professional, I understand that when I produce a show or whatever, it is production. It's a programmed outcome. And so even evaluating the savings there, I think I was paying $250 a month. And of course, my girls were young, but I didn't agree with what Disney was doing to these kids with witchcraft and vampires and wolves and all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, the sports world, even talking to a gentleman that I had a meeting with yesterday at 6:30 in the morning, he cut cable when they started kneeling for the flag. And of course, when Bud Light came out with their thing, that was kind of a wake up call for him, was when the flag kneeling happened. He just cut it, so what, I used to be so consumed with sports, and it was my life, and just think, as we're talking, right, these distractions, you're not getting paid to watch sports. You're not getting paid to watch TV. You're not getting paid to drink the alcohols. I mean, it's like that money's going out that could be repurposed for your trainings, your books, your intentional memories with your family, those kinds of things. So again, as I'm sharing what I'm saying, I'm not preaching or condemning anybody. It's like, look, you know what? It's your life, right? It's your mission. You have to decide how you want to change things. If you want to change, if you don't want to change, well, then, do what 99% of the people that are out there are doing, which is drifting. We're just kind of living, not not being intentional with the dynamic and the value that we can have each and every day. So every day for me now is an excitement. I do have downtime. Like I said to last night, I was zapped, but I listened. It's like, you know what? I was hitting it today. I have a lot still to do, but you know what? It's okay. Let me get recharged. Let me get rested. And then now, I'm fully energized for the rest of this day. So I wanted to talk about alcohol use. And if you have any comments to share, my wife and I did download the AA app. And so we do monitor it, and we do have our celebrations. We say, oh, today is year two, you know. And real quick, I think I wanted to tell you a little bit about the counting the costs. So part of my training that I've mentioned maybe in the past is having a calculator nearby. As business owners, we really have to think numbers, like calculating the cost, calculating impacts, looking at, like I mentioned with the ball, it's 34th annual. So we train ourselves to think numerically because, again, it's a way to do a self-calculation. But as I'm looking here on this app, it says 2 years and 21 days. So 751 days um, without alcohol. And I like to share this because you can't see it because of the light, but it does say, yeah, I can't too much light. Okay. But it does say 2 years, 21 days. So humans do what humans see, right? So I like to show people stuff because when they see it, they say, okay, Andy's doing it. He's not just talking about it, right? Because we live in a skeptical society, right? Which is fine. Share things with people and show them like, hey, this is what I'm doing. We used to do that with our kids, not everything, but we, gave them models to follow and try to be good examples for them as well and give them practical. I was telling someone that, when they were young, they get an allowance. As they got older, it came time to buying clothes and I'd give them $1,000. My wife said, why do you give them so much? I said, well, that's the budget we have, and I want them to be frugal. They can either blow it or they can be wise with it. And so by then I felt comfortable that they'd be wise with it. And so whatever they didn't spend, they got to keep, so today they're very frugal shoppers. They'll go to boutique shops, they'll shop around, they'll evaluate, they'll get more bang for their buck. Right. So I didn't have a problem with that. And I wanted them to learn, there's limitless opportunity out there, and a lot of it's unexpected. And so in essence, when that opportunity comes, then how do you maximize it, right? And so we've had some victories this last week. Sales are starting to come in, big ticket sales. And now, it's because of just this freeing momentum that I built to where the ideal clients. In fact, with the Veterans Business Force yesterday, Kathy Bowersox had us go through an exercise. Okay, what are you doing, to offer your clients, and what is it you're selling, and what is what's the value that's coming back to you? So I was able to explain that. It's like, well, we're a marketing agency, and basically we're looking for business people that are, they want to become legendary. I've worked with legends. And so after I observed all the legends I've worked with, I said, we all have an inner legend that's trying to get out. And no one's really articulating that. They're selling them on a piece of their dream, but they haven't really brought up the value. Like, this is going to help you accomplish your mission. It's not the total solution, but we got to start somewhere, right? So having these conversations, we had just taken a training with Josh Tolley. He does acquisitional wealth. He said, really, the three things to clients is, number one is people want to know something secret that's maybe no one's really discovered yet that's going to add value to their life, like a secret weapon, secret idea. Then you've got the adventure, something bigger than themselves, right? So we're called for greatness. We're called for destiny, right? And then three, innovation. Like, okay, what are you doing that's going to innovate and rebrand, refocus, reinvigorate our life trajectory, right? And so learning to be different, if you will, or set apart, and extremely valuable. When you're in demand, you can make demands, right? So being in a place where that you're going to be able to help someone, right? And they may not know that, kind of like a lifeguard, right? Person's drowned in the water. Well, the lifeguard jumps in and the person's flailing and hitting because he thinks the lifeguard's trying to kill him. In reality, I'm trying to save you. Let me get control of the situation. Let me pull you back to land. So it's kind of like that when you're an expert at what you do. You're the expert. Now, you don't want to blow off people, whatever you want to, there's a process, there's a psychology, right? So in the discussions at Veterans Business Force yesterday, it's like, everybody's trying to make the best decision for their life, and understanding that we want to minimize the risk for the client, right? If someone's asking you to spend $10,000 or $30,000, you're going to be very careful, unless you're very fast at making decisions, right? Yeah, there's people that are high D's, right? Tell me the information, let me get it, and then I write the check and we're ready to roll. But you have others that are slower to the process, right? And so they're taking on a risk. And so one of the things that I've implemented in my practice is doing a 30-day no risk guarantee, right? But I'm not just giving those out flippantly. I'm like, okay, let me evaluate the person to see if they're worth that risk, because the work that I will do is going to provide extreme value. So the big takeaway there is, well, if you don't like what I do, you don't pay me, but also you don't use my work, because I am looking to you find those clients. They're going to pay me like 3 months in advance. It's like, I hate chasing money. I said, I hate reminding people to pay me or whatever. So I just, out of hindsight being 2020, I said, well, let me find the client that I want. That's the client that doesn't mind paying 3 months in advance. And I'm willing to do 30-day risks, right? Because I believe in it. Well, now the client's conditioned, like, okay, you know what? I've worked with Andy for 30 days. He did more than 3 months worth of value for what, I would pay tens of thousands of dollars for. So, now we've got a working relationship, right? And of course, I want to deliver value. That's my mission. That's my assignment. So I'm willing to get up at 2:30, find out, okay, what can I do for, Caroline Kane today? We've got a short window to get her. She's in the runoff. I'll talk about her in a second, but she's in this runoff, which is like a miracle. And I don't want to get into it right now, but now we've got a short window to get her in the true election coming up for November. I think the runoff is going to come up May 20th to the 28th against a prominent opponent. We have a better message. We have a better candidate. And so my job as the market strategist is to elevate that. And thankfully, within 3 weeks, we pulled off a miracle. So I give God the credit for that, because he's given me the God-given talent. And we can prepare for battle, but God ensures the victory. So we're in the process of the victory. And there's no guarantee. You hear a lot of times of people, God told me to do this, God told me to do that, run for campaign, run for office or whatever. And that may very well be true, but it doesn't mean that he told you were going to win. He told you to do something, and your job then, my job was to be obedient to do it. And who knows how God used it, right? It could have been to shake up a marketplace idea. It could have been, a lesson that you needed to learn, and he needed you to learn it by going through that process. And so when I hear 5 or 10 candidates say, God called me to run, I don't judge that. It's okay. Well, God probably did tell you to run, but that doesn't mean that you're the one that he chose to win. And so that's kind of where we're at in the situation with Caroline's runoff is, the guy that supposedly should have won, really by all the numbers, didn't, and now we're in a runoff. So I'll go into a little bit more into that story in a bit. But on my agenda here was to talk. I do have Caroline on here. That's just an aside. So let me go ahead and finish up the Caroline story. So Caroline Kane is running for U.S. Congressional District CD7 here in Texas. And for market research for me, I've helped a lot of candidates in the past, but it was more like a volunteer. And I said, well, you know what, for the future, as I look at the type of client that I want, I said, I'm not really going to work in politics. I said, but I'll put it on the agenda. If I have a candidate that wants to run, then I'm going to make it really difficult, high bar, high dollar value, right? And basically, I just serve as advisory, meaning I don't do crack, I'll advise. Although I have the right to add value. So there's things I can do that, again, that you would pay an arm and a leg for. But the expectation is advisory. And so as I do stuff, then it's because I wanted to do it, right? So the value now is that been helping her. We've been collaborating and getting to know each other, right? And so now when it came time to proposing, I said, well, we got to get under an agreement here. So I don't mind helping you, and I want to focus more. I said, but I don't want to do all this work for basically nothing, right? It's mission critical that we get you elected. I said, so let's do it under agreement, and I'll make you a Godfather deal you can't refuse. It's like, look, if I don't get you into the election, you don't owe me anything. Right. But I have a contract. So, basically the workflow is that, well, you've got to make because it takes, in politics, it takes money and votes, right? So, but I think with this election, that once she's in it, then the money's going to flow. I mean, the PACs are going to kick in, millions of dollars are going to come in, and I may not be the guy. I said, well, right now I'm the guy because nobody else is helping per se, but I'm willing to be there for you as needed, 24/7. And again, I'll bear the risk on that, which I'm okay with, right? Because it's mission critical. So that being said, strategic, right? And so um, now in 3 weeks, we pulled off a miracle. We started advancing social media posts. We started to get videos out there, and we started to tell our story. So I think she got over 5,000 votes. I think the leading candidate got 9,400. And then now her opponent, Carolyn, not Caroline, Bryant, endorsed her. I think she got like 4,000 votes. So between the two ladies, they have enough votes to put it over the top. But again, you can't rest in these campaigns. You got to continue to, because most people aren't motivated to go to the runoffs, right? So it's going to be a tight race. It's going to be a contested race. And strategically, what I've got to do is elevate the status of this race, right? Because Houston is a major city, USA, metropolis, if you will. And I think comparison, the population here in Harris County, you would 25 other states, I think, have the same population. So, but a lot of times people aren't paying attention to like these little districts. Like, well, this is a big district, right? It's a very powerful district compared to the rest of the world. There's a lot of commerce. There's a lot that the federal government's involved in. And so my job as a marketing strategist is to rally those people that didn't win their race to get behind her. So we're working on endorsements. We're working on aligning resources, building up our volunteer network. There's a lot of needs, but thing is, you got to know what you don't know and surround yourself with advisors. So I'm not the only advisor. There are people now, that really want to help. And now everyone likes to be associated with a winner. So the basic scenario is that you have these slates that people pay to be on. And most of the time when you pay to be on them, you're going to get elected, right? So there's candidates that are really good candidates that should have been elected that don't have the money to be on these slates. So they didn't get elected. So there's a lot of consternation and anger and depression and whatever. Well, let's show them. Let's combine forces. Let's get Caroline into office. Then she's in a better position to help the candidates that really need to be elected. These are America first, liberty first, constitutional, duty bound. They take the oath. They're going to honor that oath. Candidates, right? Those are what you want. You don't want career politicians that they're just there for the paycheck. They say they're there for you, but then when they get in office, you start saying like, why are they voting against me? Why are they raising taxes? Why are they doing this? Why are they why they're not doing anything about the border? Because it is a logjam. I mean, the whole system is mired in resistance to change per se. And right now, the climate is that Americans want change. We're tired of the debt. We're tired of the invasion. We're tired of the crime. We're tired of the indoctrination. DEI, which is diversity, equality, and inclusion, is a Marxist socialist idea. It will make our country DIE. And so it takes away capitalism, freedom, liberty. And if you watch the State of the Union with Joe Biden the other day, man, you just saw a tyrant on display. And I do have a podcast that I'm coming out for the Marketing of Good today. I don't want to go into it right now, but I did have it recorded. I'll output it. If you go to the marketingofgood.com website, if you go to the archives there at the podcast, you'll hear that one. But I did it in my AI voice. I'm going to introduce AI Andy to that audience and see what kind of reactions I get. So that's my update on Caroline Kane, and then having these victories, celebrating these victories, So I said, when she got into the runoff, I went to the watch party, and there was 20 or 30 people there, and of course we left because they had to tabulate these elections into the night, But waking up to a pleasant surprise that she's in the runoff, right? So now got a press release going out today, and I'm going to review it. But she's going to be endorsing Trump. Trump just got selected as the candidate for the GOP. And of course, as a conservative myself, I'm like, why have they not rallied behind Trump earlier? And of course, politics, right? So never Trumpers and people just like wanting to figure out what's going to happen with him with all these litigations and so forth. But he's busting through. The Supreme Court says he's going to be on the ballot, and so ultimately, I was like, you know what, Caroline, let's go ahead and endorse Trump now. So that way, that'll be a differentiator between you and the other candidate because he's not a supporter of Trump. So another proof that she is the America First candidate, right? And so we're going to come out with a global press release today. I'll put it out there. They'll do some social media memes to drive home that point, and then create a clear demarcation and to alleviate the confusion of who is the true America First candidate, right? And we want to promote, a candidate that's going to respect our rights and so forth. So again, victories, sharing these victories, bringing in right now. So we got a vacation coming up for our family in Florida. So we're celebrating that victory and planning for it. It's getting closer to the date because we're going in May. And so my job as the leader of our pack is to start vision casting and say, hey, let's do research, within the next, from where we're going to be staying. We're the 2-3 hour areas that we can venture off to. There's coast areas, there's sightseeing opportunities, there's places to go eat, things to do. And so we're now collaborating to figure out how we can maximize our time there. And thankfully, my youngest daughter has a friend that lives there, so they've got tickets to Disney that they get every year because they're so close, and I guess they go a lot or whatever. So those little perks that we're picking up here and there, but we'll have home base, for people to come and go. People flying in. So we're being more intentional about having these family vacations. I don't know if you do that or not, but it's something that if you've done it before, give me some ideas. But next year we're planning for one in Destin, Florida. It's kind of the same thing. We usually get a vacation rental that's a nice upper end place with plenty of room. Last year, I think during Christmas time, we got one here because everybody didn't want to travel and people were working. So we got a mansion, had a heated pool, had a theater room, had a big kitchen space, big living room space. I mean, it was a $4 million house, that we got, for a decent price for our budget, and just a landing pad where people were able to come and go, same spirit. And then a veterans million, so Million Veteran Millionaires, again, we had Manfred Sternberg on that this month, I'm sorry. Last month. So I'm out putting that one here. And then we've got Chad Neller. He's a serial veteran entrepreneur. He's with Chiari. You heard me mention that in previous episodes, but he does a lot of work with men. And so we'll be interviewing him, I think, the fourth Tuesday at 3 at millionveteranmillionaires.com. And you can get the Zoom link there to register. It's free to attend. And he's just going to be sharing about his life and what he does to help vets and help other entrepreneurs. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was on training, was this, it's called Go High Level. Let me share my screen again. And so I was talking about systems and processes. This has helped me to automate. And you may use High Level. I'm finding that some people already use it, and they just didn't tell me about it. I'm like, okay, what kind of friend are you? No, just kidding. So on High Level, part of the training I'm taking with Billy Jean, and others that I have heard here and there, but he had a promotional where you can get a 30-day use of this, and this is costing about $97 a month, but they have upgrades, and right now this limits you to about 3 agency accounts or 3 client accounts that you can put into it. But what I liked about High Level is that you have these workflow modules that you can create to start engaging with your customers. Again, we're all busy, and so we don't necessarily have a process that we've maybe put in place. And you maybe have one, but it's not really a nailed down process. So this is a workflow process that I developed with High Level, and it's implemented. So I met a contact, let's say. The trigger is the contact. So once I enter the contact into the system, which is name, phone number, email, maybe address, but basic contact information, it triggers this workflow. So on the workflow, what's going to happen automatically is that contact is going to get an email from me, right? And then once that email is done, there's going to be a wait period, which I set to a day. So after a day, they're going to get a second email from me, and then it's going to wait a day. Then they're going to get a third email from me, and then on the fourth day, I'm going to be triggered to make a phone call. So by then, all this happened without my involvement. So what I had to do basically is think through, okay, I've got a contact. What do I want to have happen? When I want them to get an email from me. So I went to set up the email. Let me see if this will open up. So again, best practice is what kind of email that I want to say. So my client typically is they're on a solo journey. They're the sole proprietor. They want to get to 1 million to 5 million, but no one's really come alongside to help them to figure that out per se. Of course, they do want to make as much money as possible, but again, no one's articulated, what the vision is. So in my intro email, it's a short email. It's got my contact info. I put, just an introductory email, right? So got their first name, the subject line. That's done. All right. So that's in the system. The next one is a 1 day wait, and then they'll get a second email from me, right? So the second email is more of a sales pitch. Mainly, let's schedule a Zoom call. It's more about my company and what we've done to help people, the clients that we've served, and there's a link to where they can schedule a Zoom call with me, which is a $500 value. Right? I didn't put that in there, but really, it's probably worth more than that because time is money. If you're going to evaluate your time and what you want to build, I mean, I really think your time might be worth more, like 10,000 an hour. But who's going to pay you 10,000 an hour? Nobody, really. I said, but if you build the value and you got the system that's going to pay you that, then yeah, your time is worth 10,000. So you have to break it down into manageable components for today, but the value of that phone call could be extremely valuable to the client, right? So in 30 minutes, you're getting an assessment. You might have a good idea or recommendation that's going to add extreme value to their life, whether they become a client or not, right? So the idea is like, we're both busy, I'm busy, let's do a Zoom call, right? In 30 minutes, we'll figure out there's an opportunity for both of us. If not, you're in my database, you're in my contact network, I'm still a friend of yours, we're still an ally, but now they'll be in my system of communication, right? My vision, my goal is to bring them value to the point like, hey, you know what, Andy's my marketing guy, and then I want to get referrals, right? You know what, you got to talk to Andy. Trust me, you got to talk to Andy. So anyway, so the next thing is another email. This is a day after if they haven't responded to getting the Zoom call, and then I just do a quick reminder email, right, on how important it is for them to get in tune with their branding. And then from there, they've got enough emails from me. I'm not pestering them, right? So now it's time for me to call them. Like, hey, how you doing? Just touching base and seeing if you got my emails, because things happen, right? So I'm not going to go too much into what High Level has to offer. They've got another thing called missed call text back. So in essence, you may have a client that gets hundreds of phone calls or 50 phone calls a day, and they're not getting back to people. So missed call text backs allows you to set up their account and give them a number that tracks those calls, and it gets them into the database. So you don't lose those customers. So the idea is you might convert those calls that you missed, because typically when someone's calling, they're going to go to somebody else if you don't get back to them within like 30 minutes or so. Right. So by capturing that phone, sending that customer a text, and this all has to be set up, it's a way for them to recapture clients that they would have lost. So the value of that's like, yeah, I'd pay $267 set up and $267 a month, to get this service to where I don't even have to think about it. And that becomes a revenue stream because this platform really is already paid for, so, but nobody knows how to use it. And by white labeling it, which they offer, you're able to at least create a revenue stream, and it's unlimited. I can add as many people on that CMT platform as possible. And then anyway, so I'll go into some more of the training with High Level. I do have an affiliate account, and I'll put that in my link. And so basically, there's a way to make money with this. So if you use it and recommend it to your clients, you can get a certain percentage, I think up to 40% back to you, right? And so it is a value. So why wouldn't I recommend it to my clients? So right now I'm recommending to my clients, like, hey, you got to get a High Level account, then give me access. Then we can link all your social media. We can schedule all of your systems. That way, if we ever part ways, they still own it. They can still take it, right? And I haven't encumbered that in any way, right? So I don't want them to feel like, hey, Andy, is locked down all my stuff, because that's what happens a lot of times. You get locked down and you can't take your stuff, right? So I want my clients to let me log in, so I'm not using my resource, if you will, and then it becomes labor intensive to switch it later or whatever. So I'd rather them get an account, and every time they keep that account, I continue to get paid if they leave anyway, right? But they have a resource, they have a tool that's going to bring value to their life. So that's it for Go High Level. Again, I'll talk more about that in future as I'm unpacking it myself. They provide unlimited training. So anything that I have a question about, I can get on a Zoom call and they'll help, because it is technical. Some of it's technical, but you can do it, right? So anyway, go to my comment section, go to the high level. If you decide to do it, great. Then I wanted to just do a quick update on XRP. In my last episode, I talked about crypto, and I had made a goal to really study more crypto and blockchain. And so the more I'm studying, I say, now I'm in a position to take this stuff. I can actually get payment in crypto. Now I have to evaluate what I take and what I don't take. But with XRP now, I wound up buying some more this week. And there's a lot of chatter out there with the numbers. I think it went up a lot, not a lot, but enough to like, okay, this is an interesting journey. And then I'm recommending it to people. So the first thing I did was get an Exodus wallet. And then I wound up using their MoonPay is what they use to buy the crypto. So I bought some XRP, and right now it's been fluctuating. I think it was down as low as 58 cents. Now it's like 61 cents. They're predicting it may go to a 7 or so. I'm sorry, $1 or more. Got a text here, I'm just checking out. All right. So anyway, XRP, look into it. I mentioned it in the last episode, and as I'm having conversations, especially with millennials, they're already in tune to blockchain and crypto, and there's a lot of things in the background in regards to the BRICS nations coming to devalue the dollar, and of course high net worth people looking to preserve income and all that kind of stuff, and whether XRP is a commodity or not a commodity, but a security or not. So which it isn't, and that's being litigated right now. And so the pent up demand is really what's driving the discussion. So I'm not giving you investment advice, so don't take that as advice. It's just something that we're researching. So that's why I say to people, research your stuff. Find out if this is of value. I am reading Tony Robbins' book, because let me just stop sharing real quick while we're here. Variety of interest, and I'm not sure if I recommended this book last time, but it's called Tony Robbins, The Holy Grail of Investing. So he invested, he interviewed many billionaires, and so he's diluting or concentrating his interviews and their ways of thinking and what they're doing with their clients, and extraordinary opportunities for non-accredited investors to become accredited through a test, right? Just because you have a high net worth doesn't mean you're like a savvy investor, right? And so the thing is, with accreditation, you may have opportunities that most people don't have because of the restrictions, right? So anyway, I'm in the first chapter. He talks about GP stakes, which is general partner stakes of the investment firms that have these big clients that have billions of dollars to invest. Well, as a GP, that's where the money stream is. So in essence, you're getting a percentage of the account that you're running, plus they're getting 20% of what they make for their client. And so it's kind of a safe harbor, if you will, because of their track record of private equity. So anyway, complex stuff to talk about, but read it for yourself and then educate yourself, right? So I did want to talk about a new podcast that we're going to start with my friend Wally Wood. He's a veteran reporter, journalist. And so last week we met up to talk, and he's been fascinated with the changes that's happened in the media. So Wally is 72 years old. He's been a mentor, friend of mine for years. And back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, he was the man when it came to reporting on all these technological advances. He covered the space shuttle system here at NASA. We had the National Space and Technology Association. He's made it his ministry to document the rise of the Antichrist based on Revelation 13, which is technology. And so basically you got old school and new school, even though I'm technically old school. But in the old days, radio and TV was a slow process. It took a whole team and staff. And now with all these tools that are digital and the automation of the process, this podcast that we're doing would take tens of thousands of dollars to do, but the way that we're able to automate, he's just blown away. It's like, wow, this is crazy. Especially when I showed him that my AI voice, he is now considering doing that. It's like, well, Wally, while you're doing what you're doing, if I had your voice, I could output content, And so this is the futuristic world that he's talked on and taught on that's actually here. So I'm having a coffee cup made for the show, and right now we're in the design phase. I'm doing this on Vistaprint, but this is the front. RFN stands for Revelation File Network, and since it is a prophetic ministry, apostolic, if you will, when you talk about the four horsemen that are mentioned in the book of Revelation, And it's not a preachy podcast. It's just him reporting where we're at on the timeline of the advancements that were spoken about in Revelation 13, right? So this has been his iconic symbol, icon. My friend Daniel, uh, what's his name? I can't think of his name now. Forgive me, Daniel Contreras. That's his name. He designed this logo for us a while back, and so it is apropos. It's easy to see, easy to remember, and so this will be the front of the coffee cup. I want the handle to be black and the interior to be black, kind of like a in the news black and white type thing, branding essence, if you will. And then he's been reporting on global news from a biblical worldview since 1981. So that's going to be on the inside, right? And so as we're looking to beautify this a little bit, I may change the font maybe to like a news font or whatever. But again, this is just a prototype, and this is what I went over with him yesterday as we're looking to order these coffee cups for the photo op that we're going to do for the website. So I have a whole list of things that I'll be doing for the platform. We'll be building out the website. We'll be doing the logo. We'll be creating a directory where we can push the podcast to. I'll be using High Level to do our social media marketing, creating our ads. We'll be producing articles. We've got a potential alignment with GLC, God's Learning Channel, that Wally's has a history with. We'll be developing a subscription model for it because people that want to kind of get ahead of the curve may find this reporting of value for their investments or for their business that they're looking to implement, stuff that no one's really talking about. We'll be talking about. We'll be doing some lives and then, of course, some memes. As I do the shows, basically, there's a new AI platform. Maybe I'll talk about next week if I have a chance to use it, called Munch, where you can take these long form videos and it will break it up into 30 other videos that are short form, and it's automated to where it does research on what people are searching for, and then it outputs the short form content for delivery. And so this is time sensitive things that now can be automated. So again, I'll maybe do a training on that, and then we'll be creating our merchandising. So right now, there are talented people all over the world, right? And some of the stuff is costly. I mean, to actually go through the process of even designing the coffee cup can run, thousands of dollars, right? To sit down, actually commit to working with whoever, and then going through that process. There's a lot of time involved, process delays. So it's really good to be able to do this stuff in-house and basically save on the cost, right? So for a lot of my clients, they've got me as an agency advisor. We're able to create this stuff as part of our consulting to be able to then output it to a service provider to do, right? So anyway, one of the processes I'm going through with Wally is I'm turning his signature into a brand, right? Not his real signature. So I've hired this guy, Salman from Fiverr. He's in Bangladesh, basically for $10. So I looked at his reviews. He had over 1,900 contacts. And there in Bangladesh, I mean, the exchange rate's 80 to 1. So this will be worth like $800 to him, right? And if he did 1,900, again, working with numbers, he's basically, a millionaire, $1.9 million in essence in his money, right? But anyway, never used him before. And so I gave him some descriptions of what I want, but we're doing coffee with Wally. And then I wanted Wally's signature in it. So it may look something like this, let's say, where it says his signature, and it might have coffee with Wally, or it may have coffee with Wally at the top, and then his signature. And then we start making that signature known. It's not really Wally's signature, but nothing new under the sun, right? So we have something that looks like a signature, and it just becomes part of the branding message. So that's a coffee with Wally. Stay tuned with that, and then we'll go from there. So what I wanted to do is show you again. This is my AI tool that I'm using to automate my voice. It's called 11labs.io, and they've got other voices here. So, but I wanted to automate my voice since I'm building my brand. But these are some of the other voices. Let's see here. Let's do this. Victoria.
One may say the eternal mystery of the world is its comprehensibility.
See, this is AI voices that have already lent their voice to it.
Ideas are the beginning points of all fortunes.
Let's see what my voice sounds like.
A man who doesn't trust himself can never really trust anyone else.
See, I didn't say that, but that's my AI voice there.
A man who doesn't trust himself can never really trust anyone else.
So that's my AI voice. So now it's kind of like having an employee, basically. Myself is my employee, but I outputted this message for my podcast that I'm doing on the marketing of good, which I made mention of here today. So let's just play a little bit of it. I just did this yesterday offsite. So I was in between appointments. And so I was able to type up my message that I wanted to say. And basically, this is kind of my introduction to my AI voice to that audience. And I tell them so. Let's just see what I say here real quick.
You are listening to the Marketing of Good Communication alert. However, this is AI Andy, meaning this is my clone voice, and this is AI Andy Valadez, your humble podcaster robot. I am overdue for a podcast, and so much has happened this past few months. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Wally Wood of Wally Wood Ministries entitled Conspiracy Fact. Wally has been a longtime friend and client and journalist who has focused on advancements in technology that will one day lead us down an interesting path as predicted in Revelation 13 of the Bible. We are heading into a heated election year with Trump versus Biden's America.
All right. So I don't want to give you a tease, but you'll go to themarketingofgood.com. That's my book that I'm writing, and I'll have this outputted this morning for your listening, right? And so the Marketing of Good podcast alert is it's designed to help people to pay attention to the times we're living and to discern, what their positions are, reaffirm their positions, or help them to unpackage what we're seeing before our eyes, right? So that's the Marketing of Good podcast alert. Then I've got a book launch that we're doing for my new client, author Stacy Bowles, for a second chance, turn the page. Is that here? I don't have that here. Okay. I was going to show you I haven't set up the landing page for it yet, so I'm jumping ahead of myself. So I will be setting up a landing page, but right now we're using Eventbrite for her book launch. And let me see here, manage my events. So we've got an event. You go to eventbrite.com to find this event, and I'll put this in the comments. Oh, we got 9 tickets sold already. All right, cool. And when I say sold, it's a free event. How do I get to the event? Well, all right, here you go. So this is an event page we set up for her book launch, and now it's being advertised on Eventbrite. She has a home show type thing that she does, and so she's going to be doing that the same weekend, and we're just going to have a separate room. So basically, those that are attending her Home for the Holidays gift show is going to be at the Merrill Center on April 20th. I think even April 19th and 20th, or 20th and 21st. But you can get a free admission to her show, which she normally charges $6 to come in to, and then you can get your tickets here. And so we did a little flyer that she's now handed out at her shows now, and then people can learn more about the book. And I'm not sure if I shared this video last time, but let's go ahead and share it now. And so ultimately, as part of the consultancy, we needed a variety of different things. We needed some promotional ads. We needed flyers. We are going to be working on the website, of course, the landing page for the show, a QR code, so you can actually click this QR code to get the book. And her mission really is, it's a story taken in a contemporary setting, but I'll let the video explain that. And then if you want to attend this here in Houston, by all means, get your tickets. You can go to Eventbrite and search for a book launch for Second Chance, Turn the Page with Stacy Bowles, right? I'll put that in the description here of this video, but let's take a quick look at this video. I don't remember if I showed it last session, so if it's redundant, that's okay. It's advertising.
Where will you be the day after? Where will you be the day after the prophetic rapture? What about your family, loved ones, or friends? International best-selling author Stacey Bowles has crafted a contemporary story entitled For a Second Chance, Turn the Page, which is available on Amazon. The tale is set in a small town near Houston, Texas. 4 female business friends hit the highway to the seasonal Dallas market and discuss their faith or lack of it in preparation for their merchandise buying spree for their country store of crafts, food, and clothing. Cassie, their leader, is emphatic about preparing for the eventual day that was foretold in the Bible. Their road trip doesn't go as planned. The warning signs are present. You have survived wars and rumors of wars, disease, family strife, natural disaster and extreme weather, upheaval, riots, and escalating crime. The silence of the Christian church of our time regarding the great calling away, whether you be pre-trib, mid-trib, or post-trib, is alarming. Read this book and prepare your community before it is too late. Your time is now. For a Second Chance, Turn the Page by Stacey Bowles.
All right. So thank you for watching that. I'll stop share now. There's a lot more to go over. So we run out of time. But that was my AI voice. The software that I'm using enables me to pull some stock footage. So that it brings down the process of producing these things, because doing this type of production, can run $5,000-$10,000, right? The thinking, the process, the team, and all that. So thankfully, with the advancements of technologies, all this stuff can be learned, right? You can do for yourself. So I've been a facilitator helping people, like they don't have a budget to do this stuff and they can't really afford to hire me. So that's why I do these platforms to at least share. Is okay, well, here's what I've done before. Is I've had to learn how to do video and as a marketing guy, right? But if I pick up a camera, everybody thinks I'm a video guy. Or if I help them with the website, they think I'm a website guy. I said, no, I'm a marketing strategist, degreed marketing strategist, which is important, because this is real life and death, right? So there's nothing new under the sun. And so as a true practitioner, marketing leader, a veteran, even watchman, to me, a lot of the stuff is life and death, the battle of ideas, right? So there's going to be a winner in the idea. And it might as well be you, especially if it's a good idea, right? A God idea, right? So that's where we get the word good from. So with that being said, I've just learned that I've got to use my talent for good, though it costs me everything. And I'm willing to put my reputation, my name on the line to do it. And thankfully, people know that, right? Working with legends and those that want to become legendary. So that being said, another legend, Nino Rodriguez, is a heavyweight former champion boxer. I mean, he had an amazing record. I forget 63 knockouts or something like that, that he's done. And he was on a trajectory, but life caught up, with that lifestyle. He got knifed and he wound up not going into boxing anymore. Now he's a YouTuber, podcaster, Nino's Corner on YouTube. He's got hundreds of thousands of followers, former client, friend of mine now. So I've been recommending guests because, man, you got some awesome guests, and he wants to get them on his show. So we're working on that list of potential guests. We're looking to get Machine Gun Preacher on his podcast when he comes back from Africa in April. I'm looking to get Caroline Kane on there, again, this CD7 being a hot battleground. So my job is to make it a hot battleground, at least in the minds of the great thinkers and great minds. So right now, Nino doesn't want her on the show because he's not really wanting to do a politics type thing right now, but he will in the future. And so if I do my job right? But he is booking Akshay Nanavati. Now, Akshay Nanavati was featured on A Million Better Millionaires. He's an author, speaker, serial entrepreneur, but he is like a moth drawn to flame. He likes to challenge his fears. He wrote a book called Fearvana, which you can get on Amazon. And it's a new word that he created. And really, it's about facing your fears, right? So we have natural fear. It's designed to protect us, right? But it can be debilitating fear and prevent you from doing stuff because you've put up a false narrative, right? So he has challenged himself to do ultra marathons, rock climbing, mountain climbing. He's a Marine vet, and suffering war. He had some issues to deal with: alcoholism, PTSD, loss of battle members in the Marine Corps, all that. And so when we interviewed him on our show, he was really helping to champion. But this is before he was while he was making plans to go to Antarctica. No one's ever traversed Antarctica. I think in my last interview, I said it was like 140 miles. No, it's like that, hundreds of miles to get across. And at one point, he will be the loneliest person in the world, right? And so he's got to take the heavy equipment. He's got a whole team preparing. But anyway, that got David's attention. These are world champions, world leaders, legendary people. I mean, he could die out there. Pray that he doesn't. But he's training himself to just be consistent, to do and weather the storms, because you got gusts of winds. It's going to be crazy. So anyway, he's going to be doing that interview on the 20th on Nino's Corner. Also looking to line up Ruben Gonzalez, who will be 60 this Olympics. He's competing in the luge. The luge is the sled, or the fast sled that goes down the track, the ice track, and we call it the tunnels. Like, it looks like a tunnel, but reaching high speeds of over 60 miles an hour, even more probably. But it's a sport that's very dangerous. People do get hurt, and some may die from it. But this will be his 5th time to go. And so what I see here is his dogged tenacity. I think he's going to get the gold. I read his book, and I can see, Ruben, see yourself winning the gold, And so that got David's attention as well. So that's going to be the stuff of legend, stuff that movies made of. In fact, Ruben does have an idea for a movie, and we're going to help to champion that for him as well. And so Ruben, when he gets the goal, I say that if he gets it, but at his level of training and experience and coaching, and with the advancements of these luge sleds, are now graphite, lightweight, instruments. He's pulling some awesome speeds. And so he's kept himself conditionally fit. He had suffered some injuries in his training here the last couple of months, but has rebounded, and he is just dogged. He is the bulldog, the luge man. So we'll be lining up those interviews and some others. If you have some recommendations for David, send them to me. We'd be glad to at least make a pitch. So what I've got to do this week is make my list of people that are on my radar that should be on Nino's show, that would make for good content, good stories. I'm trying to think of who else. I had Stephen Williford on his show a while back. Stephen Williford was the hero. He's a Texas hero, American legend, but he was the hero at First Baptist Church in Sutherland Springs 5 years ago, when a gunman came and shot up the church and killed 23 people, injured. I think he killed 26 people, injured 23. And Stephen was there with his AR-15 to put a stop to that. So interesting guy, but I've had him on the show already. Maybe time for a revisit. I'm trying to think of who else. I may have Stacey Bowles on to talk about the Revelation generation, her book, The Second Chance, Turn the Page. And then I've been championing Wally Wood to come on the show. I think it'd be a very fascinating discussion with David, because he's had people that had talked about prophetic stuff, but they haven't nearly the history that maybe Wally has, because that's been his thing for the last decades, several decades. So I'll go ahead and close out for now. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate your audience. This is my audience of one. We didn't have any guests, today, but that's okay. I have a complete agenda every day the Lord gives me, because I really stress about it. I mean, when I got up this morning, this was blank. I got up at 2, so I knew I had to get ready. But as I start to pray and think about what I want to say and how I want to say it, the Lord gives me the ideas, right, to write down. And again, we run out of time. This is supposed to be an hour, but now it's a little bit longer. So I thank you for watching. You've been watching Zero Dark Network Friday Live. This is the 12th edition. I don't know what I'm going to call this yet, but it'll come to me. I'll find a good graphic for it. And again, we archive these at the website, zerodarknetwork.com. Just go to the Friday Live section, because I do have the Saturday Change Me section, and also the Mastermind. We are looking for Mastermind group leaders. Those are by invitation only, in different industry categories. So we're looking for either media, marketing, politics, crypto, real estate, business acquisition, so just some key accounting, finance, that having different perspectives, because great minds don't think alike. They think differently, but together they're brilliant. And so we just want that mind trust that we want to build, and then we want to replicate that for others that want to start their own Zero Dark Network platforms in their cities. So again, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. And be sure to comment. You can contact me at 713-560-3348. That's the bat phone. I'm up early. Don't mind texting. I do put it on airplane mode when I go to sleep, so I don't get disturbed, because sleep is critical. Then my email is andy@andyvaladez.com. Thank you so much.
My name is Andy Valdez, founder of Marketing Dynamics. The late Peter Drucker, the father of management theory, believed marketing was critical to your business. He said the purpose of a business is to create a customer through marketing and innovation. Strategic marketing equals immediate success. We offer you speed to market without the speeding tickets. Work smarter, harder, faster. Marketing Dynamics, because the market never stays the same. Please visit teammarketingdynamics.com.